Hi, sixth graders. So yesterday we were talking about finding the part, okay? So we talked about how when we were given a percent and a whole and obviously percents out of 100, we were able to find that part. Today we're going to be talking about finding the part again, okay? But the thing is with this is that we are going to be calculating tip and we are also going to be calculating percent off. So let's look at some of these examples. So let's look at the first one. It says Miss Rothstein is buying a sofa that is $346. The store is having an 18% off sale. How much does the sofa cost now? So when we hear the word off, that basically means we need to find 18% of 346. And then whatever 18% of that number is, we're going to take it off of the price, meaning that we are going to subtract. So first, let's estimate. We can round 18% to 20%. 346, we can make 350, or even easier, we can just say 300, whatever works. If we bring that down, 20% is represented by 1/5. If you write 2/10, that's fine as well. Then we could put 300 over 1, multiply across, we get 300 divided by 5. Now, again, you can set this up, but the basic fact is 30 divided by 5, which is 6. Add the 0, it's 60, meaning that about 18% of 346 is 60. So 60 is our, we can say about $60 discount. And remember, what we mean by that is that number we need to subtract from the total. But we're not going to do that yet. The thing is, why we're not going to do that yet is because we want to find the actual discount. So 18% we call the percent, and we don't need the percent sign because it's out of 100. The part is what we're figuring out. So we don't know, so it's going to be an X. And then we have 346 total dollars. So remember, we gonna cross multiply, we get 100x. We're gonna cross multiply in the other direction. Okay, so we're gonna do 346 times 18. We're gonna plug in that answer and see what we get. So why don't you do that right now and multiply 346 times 18. You end up getting 6,228. And then you're going to divide by 100 to get x by itself. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So we just found that 18% of 346 is $62.28. Now, I would look at our discount and say, that seems very, very close. So what we need to do with that, though, this right here is our discount. So what that tells us is that we need to subtract that number from 346. So we would do 346 minus 62.28, and we would end up getting $283.72. That is the total price of the sofa. So just know, whenever you're doing discounts, you're finding that part, but then you're subtracting the part from the total price. Let's look at another example. So that example was about percent off. This next example is finding tip. So with discounts, you subtract it from the total, but what do you think you do with tip? With tip, you're going to add it to the total. So let's make an estimate. Let's see. It says Crispin is out to dinner with his friends. The final bill comes to $46. He wants to give the server a 25% tip because they provided excellent service. How do we figure this out? So first, let's estimate 25% of 46. We can keep 25% as 25% because, again, it is a percent that is easy to turn into a fraction because it is 1/4. But we can make 46 50. That would be a little easier. So we put 50 over 1. We get 50 divided by 4. And that gives us 12.5. In this case, $12.50 is the tip. And what we would do with that $12.50 is we would add it to the total bill, and that's how much we would leave at the restaurant for dinner. But that's not our final answer. That's an estimate. We want to find exactly what is 25% of 46. So we're going to put the percent right here, no percent sign because it's out of 100. 46 is the whole. That's the total for dinner. We need to find what 25% is. So we're going to multiply again diagonally. We get 100x. Then we're going to multiply diagonally the other way. We do 46 times 25. And we end up getting 1,150. Divide both sides by 100 to get x by itself. And our tip that we end up calculating is $11.50. But again, this tip is not what we're leaving for the server. We're adding it to our total bill of $46. So our total is going to be $57.50. So right here, we see two examples of how in the real world you can find the part, which is finding a percent of a whole number, and that part will tell you what to do, whether it's to make it your tip, whether it's to take it off your original price because it's a discount. But these two examples are really important when it comes to percent, because you will see them all the time. You will be finding what 18% of something is or what 25% of something is to take a discount off of it if it's a sale. You will also definitely be finding tip at restaurants as well. And to practice a little bit of that, what we are going to do is practice tipping a little bit later in this period. But before I get into that, what I would like you guys to do is the next two examples on your own. So the next example is buying a bike for $172, 25% off, okay? So just like that first problem. The second is the same thing, going to dinner, getting a price, tipping a certain amount. What is your final bill going to be at the bottom? Okay, so try those two on your own. Once you finish your notes, what you are going to do is there are a bunch of different menus at the back table. You are going to use some of those menus and you're going to practice finding tip, and you are also going to practice finding tax. Okay, so what you are going to do is there's a couple restaurant pages that you are basically like a check, and you are going to complete as many as you want using the menus at the back. So what you are going to do, it tells you, it just looks kind of like a restaurant, that check that you would get at a restaurant. It has your table, the server, you can write who is serving you that day, and then you're going to write your items. So you're going to look at the menu and you're going to pick an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. Okay, and you're going to write those menu items right here with their price. Don't forget the prices because that's important. Okay, then what you are going to do is you are going to find the tax on it. So the menus that you are going to be seeing have a couple different things that you can get, and you are going to write all of those there. And then the total price of everything, you are going to add it up, and you're going to put the total price of everything just as they are on the menu where it says subtotal. Now, on every menu, you see a tax sign. Okay, so what you are going to do, usually the tax is calculated at the register, but you're going to practice finding that tax. Okay, so you're going to take whatever subtitle you get. Let's say, for example, the total cost comes to $53.72. If that's the total cost of all of these restaurant items up here, you're going to find the tax. Now, currently, there is a 6.625% sales tax at our restaurants, but we're just going to round up and we're going to say it's a 7% sales tax. So if we want to find what 7% of this total bill is, we're going to plug it in. So 7 would go right here where the percent is because it's a percent. 53.72 is the total meal, the whole entire meal. So we're going to put 53.72 down here. And then we're finding that part. We're going to figure out what 7% of $53.72 is. So we're going to call that X. Now we go through the process just like we've been doing in our notes. We're going to multiply across. We get 100X. And then we're going to multiply diagonally the other way. And we do $53.72 times 7. And we end up getting $376.04. Now, just like before, solve for X. So we end up getting for our sales tax, the sales tax that is 7% of our meal is going to be $7. Now, technically, it comes to 7 point or 3. Sorry, let me go back real quick. I didn't mean 7. It comes to $3. Now, technically, it comes to $3.7604, but remember, cents only goes to the second digit. So it's going to be $3.76. That is our tax. So now what we need to do, our tax, we can write, is going to be $3.76. And you see how I'm lining up those decimals because what I'm doing now is finding my new total. Because when you get your bill at the restaurant, they already have tax in there for you to tip on. So we're going to do $53.72 plus $3.76. And now our new total is $57.48. So this number is what we are going to tip on, our total bill. So when we're doing that number, now we're calculating tip. So for every restaurant, you have to calculate the tax and then you have to calculate the tip. So now we're calculating this tip. It's $57.48 in total. Tip, we're just going to stick with 20%. So we're going to put a 20 here. If at some restaurants, as you're looking through them, you're like, I want to tip a little more, you can do 25. But I don't want to tell you to do any more than 25 for this activity. Now we're finding the part, so you're going to put an X. Multiply diagonally. So we're going to do 57.48 times 20. And we end up getting 1,149 and 6/10 or 0.6. Divide by 100. And our tip is going to be $11. And it comes to 11.496. We're going to round that 9 all the way up. And that's going to round the 4 up to a 5. So we're just going to call it $11.50. So that number can now go in your tip. $11.50. So your job now is to add that tip to the total because that is what you are going to leave at the table. So we're going to add $11.50 to $57.48. And what you're leaving, whether it's on your credit card, whether it's in cash, is at least $68.98. This is the number that is the most important number of this whole activity because that's how much you're leaving. Okay. Now, again, if it's on a credit card, it's going to be that amount. If you're paying cash, you might just say, I'll give $70. Maybe you're feeling generous. All right. So that is what I need from you. And also, I'm looking up here. Just make sure, write your name, but also write the restaurant that you're going to so that we know where all those things are from. So you're going to do this on your own right now. Okay. So make sure to complete those 2 problems here in your notes. And then you are going to grab one of these LBI Restaurant Week packets and you're going to buy some food at some of the restaurants. So just make sure you're taking your time. You can look at this video again if you need me to repeat any directions and have some fun. Happy eating.